Hi, my name is Michael Satano, and this is my presentation about the Kyoto Protocol. So what is it? The Kyoto Protocol is an international treaty crafted in December of 1997 to reduce the global greenhouse emissions across the industrial world. So the treaty was very simple, and that the goal of it was once a number of nations signed the treaty, um, everyone that signed it and ratified it would have to reduce their carbon emissions to what they were at 1990. So the main chemicals that are in the greenhouse gases are CO2, which is carbon dioxide, methane, which is CH4, sulfur hexafluoride, which is SF6, nitrous oxide, which is N2O, along with some hydrofluorocarbons and some perfluorocarbons. These are all the main chemicals in the atmosphere that are being released between industry, cars, any emissions of those sorts. So who signed it? Who signed it? It's very simple who signed it. Most of the world did. You can see from the map, the United States and Australia are two of the main people that have signed it but haven't yet to ratify the treaty. The big issue with people signing it, not everyone had required standards to achieve once they signed the treaty, and that's why they were more likely to sign it. All underdeveloping nations weren't required to, which led to China and India and Brazil willingly signing the treaty, knowing that they're not going to be slowed down. So, as you see, the United States didn't sign it. The United States is the biggest issue with greenhouse gases in the world almost. They represent over a quarter of all of the emissions in the world, so that's a large portion. USA refused to ratify the treaty during the Bush era because he was afraid that undeveloped nations that weren't required to sign the treaty would receive an unfair economic advantage, not having to limit their amount of emissions. It would allow them to run freely while we were restrained. So we chose not to sign it. The Kyoto Protocol only became active in May of 2002 when the 55 was reached. So when the protocol was written, there was two parts that had to be accomplished before they can actually start the remission of the greenhouse gases. So they needed 55 nations to sign the treaty and account for 55% of all the emissions in 1990. So in May 2002, Russia signed the treaty, which put the number of nations well over 55, but finally reached the term of having 55 nations that account for 55% of all the emissions in 1990. So here is a graph of what people that signed the treaty would likely have to reduce their standards to. You can see that Canada would have to lower their emissions by 6%, the United States by 7%, Japan by 6%, Germany by 21%. These are all large amounts. Some nations, in the way it was designed, were able to raise their emissions if it so be it. Iceland and Australia were examples of that. And then you can see also in the graph, China, India, South Africa, and Brazil all have a plus or minus, which means they are not being recorded, which allows them a better economic advantage. So China and India, they have over 1 billion people in both of them almost at this point. So that leads to 100,000 cars on the road, and we all know that China is becoming one of the largest industrial powers in the world, and that doesn't happen without emissions. If we were to check their emissions now, they're almost 100% higher than they were when the protocol was written. There's a little flaw in the protocol there. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and thank you.